This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Hey, I'm David Pakman. Last week's interview with racist Missouri Senate candidate Glenn Miller has just been completely blowing up. Since in the 2 days that followed the interview, there was more traffic to our website and more views on YouTube than anything else we've ever done. Probably, I wouldn't say tenfold, but many times over. And if you haven't heard the interview, you should go to midweekpolitics.com or check out our YouTube channel or somehow listen to it because it's incredible. He calls me a Jew liar. He tells me he personally hates me. It's an incredible interview. I don't think we've ever had anything quite like it. And we've had a lot on the show.
Oh, definitely. By far. One of our craziest.
And I don't even, we'll get to emails later, and something about that mic, Lewis, we may want to switch you to a different mic because it sounds like even though you're sitting right near me, listen to that.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find a piece of crap as big as this mic.
It sounds like you're calling in from some kind of a testing center, arms testing facility or something. Anyway, while you do that, Glenn Miller posted on a white supremacist forum after the interview, and somebody commended him on the great job he did. Beautiful job. Your answers were precise, unequivocal, and hard-hitting. Your answer to the question, why do you hate me, David Pakman, who did nothing wrong to you, was especially well thought out and articulated. Indeed, why do we have to hate this Jew, who was very polite and respectful to Glenn? He was even nice enough to abstain from resorting to even the most annoying and disgusting tactic of the Jews, derision, in lieu of solid arguments in the discourse. Incredible that the positive response he got, but not surprising. Overall, the guy is being ridiculed on 10 different internet forums and on our 75 stations. So we'll get to emails from our audience, but be aware that Glenn Miller thinks he did really well on the show. And by the way, Glenn left us a voicemail while we were, not us on the show line, but me personally, accusing us, implying we were chickening out, and we've posted this interview to the Midweek Politics membership podcast. If you're not a member, midweekpolitics.com/membership, and you can hear the voicemail that he left me. The oil spill. By the way, I want to mention, Howard Stern today, on the Howard Stern Show, there was a clip played of our show, and we'll play that for you later, and it's actually pretty funny. The oil spill, the Gulf oil spill that we're all aware of off the coast of Louisiana, has tripled in size overnight. Unimaginable environmental catastrophe is looming, and there's going to be impact on coastal life, honestly reminiscent of Katrina, all bad. There's no end to the pollution in sight. The size of this thing, if you watched Jon Stewart the other day, he joked about how many news stations are comparing the size of the spill to different states. Well, it's true. It's huge. It's over 120 miles wide. By now, it's probably even more. It's looking like it'll be one of the largest man-made environmental catastrophes in history, although maybe not as big as the Exxon Valdez, and that's saying something. The BP COO was asked who's to blame, and here's what he had to say.
Who's ultimately to blame here? Is it BP?
I don't know. I actually don't know. My focus is getting this flow stopped, cleaning this thing up, and minimizing the impact. I mean, it's clearly hurting people. I understand that, and I want to minimize that. We'll find out later, and we'll sort that out then.
Okay, and then Dana Perino goes on to suggest maybe it was all sabotage. This isn't BP. There is foul play involved. Listen.
Well, right, and he called him out, and we'll see. Ultimately, I do think that the BP executive, they should say, we'll take the responsibility that is ours. What we're focused on right now is getting it cleaned up. But we don't know what happened. And what'll be interesting to me, and I'm not trying to introduce a conspiracy theory, but was this deliberate?
Of course not.
You know, you have to wonder.
Sabotage?
Yeah, if there was sabotage involved. And this company doesn't know that. That's not important at the moment.
Because they leased this platform. They didn't make this platform. They leased this platform. So maybe they didn't know what they were getting.
Right. They didn't. The guy didn't make the gun. He just bought the gun and shot someone with it. He didn't make the gun. Who made the gun? That's what we need to figure out. Of course, the right-wingers are trying to find some way to blame President Obama for this mess. And they're constantly comparing this to Katrina, even though that was a natural disaster. This wasn't, unless you believe Governor Rick Perry. Rick Perry is saying the oil spill may be an act of God. I'm not making this up. I hate to quote Jay Leno, but I'm not making this up. Texas Governor Rick Perry, a Republican, claimed that the oil rig explosion that caused the massive, still expanding spill may just have been an act of God that couldn't have been prevented. He was asked by a reporter if this and the mine disaster in West Virginia might be the result of lax regulations. Makes sense to me. And he said it might be an act of God. If he thinks it was an act of God, then oil must be our salvation. That's the only way that I can fit that together. It is clear, though, that this is a result of Republican small government philosophy. And I'm just not throwing bombs when I say this. Take a listen to this. Halliburton acknowledged Friday that it had completed the final cementing of the oil well and pipe 20 hours before the blowout. They did not include in that a shutoff mechanism, which was discussed years ago and considered. But who was it that said we're not going to do that? The Interior Department's Minerals Management Service, which, by the way, who was in charge there? That was Dick Cheney's Energy Task Force saying, you know what? It's just too expensive. We can't afford that shutoff mechanism that very well may have prevented this oil spill. It is incredible. And I would say to Sarah Palin, who said, drill, baby, drill, it's really spill, baby, spill at this point. And I would ask her, how's that drilly, spilly stuff working out for you? That's my question for Sarah Palin. And by the way, in Sarah Palin's home state of Alaska, they have that socialism thing, right? They get oil payments. Louisiana does not. Louisiana does not. Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.